Hello and welcome to Short End of the Pick with Richard and Kurt. I hope everyone's doing good. I hope everyone's staying safe. I hope everyone's doing well, and hope everyone had a great Easter. It's been a while since the last time we started, but we are back, and we've got a few things to talk about. Might be somewhat shorter of an episode, but Richard, how you been doing in this quarantine nonsense, I guess I should say?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we haven't gotten to meet up with each other and do the recording in a while, so it's been kind of, slow going, not much going on. I mean, we're all kind of stuck inside at this point, right? Like,
yeah,
what much is there to do?
We didn't want to we were trying to figure out, should we do a remote? I mean, we're not supposed to, be hanging out,
Yeah, traveling back and forth. Yeah, we're not supposed to.
Because we record the podcast, sitting together, basically on one mic. But we have two mics now, so we can stay 6 feet apart while recording now.
Exactly. And we're going to try and figure out that remote stuff, too. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Trying to get all that down together.
But, there really hasn't been a lot to talk about lately besides the coronavirus. And
yeah, that's
just to talk about that every single week for an hour just seems a little bit, excessive and sad, and I don't.
Let's just say my ears are filled with that far enough already, and
we talked about it a ton too before leading up.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that there's not other news stories going on. But before we get into that, you've literally not been doing anything since we last met. Because I mean, I actually got into some baking, and I realized I'm a mean biscotti maker. I've made some biscottis.
Some what?
Biscottis, cookies, like those Italian cookies.
Baking? You bake biscottis?
Oh yeah, man, they're delicious too.
Well, see, I was actually going to ask you as part of the segment, because I thought we should come up with some other stuff than what we typically do, because like you said, there's not a lot. I was going to say, what are some things that you're cooking now that you were quarantined and you can't really go out as much, so you have to cook like every meal? Is there anything anything special you were making that you kind of learned or something? And that would be one.
That would be the biscottis. Also, my girlfriend recently stopped. She gave up cheese for a couple of months there during the Lent season, not for a religious purpose, but more so for like a just a physical challenge, I guess, and gave up the cheese.
Not a bad challenge.
Yeah, and gave up cheese, and so on Easter she decided she wanted to have an all-out thing, and so she made this mac and cheese breakfast casserole that had what do they call tater tots in it, which was very cheesy, very carby, very, very delicious-y.
Yeah, that does sound good.
And yourself? Anything fun?
Oh, well, I've kind of learned that I'm not that good at cooking stuff. Because once you do the few things that you do, usually I sub it in. I supplement it with, buying something out or something like that. But not being able to, you do soup, you do spaghetti,
and then
you do beans and rice, you do ramen, and then you're pretty much out.
Yeah, you got to make full circle again.
Yeah.
Anything else going on?
No, I mean, I've been working. I've been really fortunate, been able to still work and work from home.
Well, I heard you were telling me that you were doing some stuff on the side. I want to give a quick shout out.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know you were trying to lead me.
Yeah, I wanted to give you a little
I
little nudge there.
I started another podcast, but it's like a solo podcast.
Yeah.
Just me. So it's called Straight Data Podcast on YouTube.
How's it spelled, though?
The channel is Straight Data Content, and I don't know if we've done it yet, but we'll link it in the channels.
Oh yeah, for sure.
One.
Yeah.
And I've linked it back to this one too. So that's just a little solo flavor if you just want to hear me rant for an hour.
STRAIT.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
STRAIT. So like the geographical feature, not
not the line segment.
Direction.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, Straight Data Content is the YouTube channel name. So,
and I'm trying to beef it up. It's a little slow. I just started it, so it might be a little amateur right now, but same thing with this channel. We're just slowly getting into it, putting out content first, and we'll start to refine all the bells and whistles.
So what's the plan for this podcast? I guess we're gonna kind of wing it and see what goes on. But I figure we're gonna do like a news segment. We'll maybe talk about sports news, but there's not much we can pick because there's not any sports going on.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, I mean, part of the reason we haven't been doing a podcast through this season is there's not a lot of story. There's stuff out there. There's stories, but you got to dig for them because the first 200 stories you see on their feed are coronavirus, this coronavirus, that, some way related. So, and it gets old. It's the same old, same old.
Yeah.
But, and all the sports are canceled. So a lot of time we talk about sports, there's nothing going on as far as actual games. So we can't, I don't even know.
Do much picks.
We're not going to do picks. We're not going to do.
We can maybe do a stock pick, I guess, but that meant more so just a news thing. Just say, hey. Alrighty.
But we do have a few stories.
Let's get into the first one.
I guess we'll start with some sports stuff because that's the main thing. So,
big news sports stuff or just regular sports stuff?
No, there's no big news. I don't know.
I pulled up a couple of cool big news
we'll
things,
get to
we'll get to those later.
We'll talk about this one because this one's actually pretty big. Tom Brady.
Tom Brady, 12?
Tom Brady, TB. He moved to Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I don't think that happened after the last episode we filmed, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Recorded. Yeah, so Tom Brady, I do have to admit, I'm a Tampa Bay Bucs fan, lifelong. I was born and raised in that area. So I'm a little bit biased when it comes to this. But what are your thoughts, Richard? I guess we'll start off with you.
I'm a little biased too. I went to school in the area. So my thoughts, dude, I am so excited for this season. Like, don't get me wrong. I was really excited.
If we have a season.
Yeah. if this doesn't go for the next 6 months, but I like Jameis Winston. He was a good enough seeming guy. Good enough.
He had monster numbers at the end of the day. You can't lie.
But then it was just it was so bad to see him on the turnover end. It was just
he could not get those turnovers out, and therefore he could never lead the team to anything good. He had lots of different teams and a few really good cracks at, I don't think it was necessarily the roster was horrible, and he was just a victim of that. I think his turnover problems were massive and contributing to, and it's a consistent turnover problem.
Yeah, no, like starting his first, I remember you mentioning this to me a couple of times, but you said the very first pass he threw as a Tampa Bay Buck was a pick six, and then he ended his very last pass as a Tampa Bay Buck.
That's true
with
now.
a pick six.
That's officially true.
So if that didn't tell the story of what Jameis Winston was at
crazy.
Tampa Bay.
And his last one was to lose the game. Remember that was I think so that's the last game of the season, and that's in overtime.
Yep.
That's like the first play of overtime or something like that.
Yeah. And then
to lose the game, throw a pick six. So pretty sad on that front.
So don't get me wrong. I like Jameis. He had his struggles with the turnover game, but
one thing you got to say about Jameis is he did have that 4 games. Did he have a 4 game?
Was it 4? I don't remember.
Or 2 game suspension. There was a suspension that he ended up having to do based off of some off-field things. But coming out of college, it was a real concern that he had some off-the-field issues that you didn't think he was going to be a good character enough to be disciplined and be a good professional player. And I think for the most part, he actually proved me wrong and actually over-impressed on that.
Yeah.
I think he was a good talent that worked really hard, good team leader. For the most part, stayed out of trouble.
Yeah. No,
So on that front, he kind of exceeded expectations, but he always had a really talented arm. He could always, in college, he could zip that ball like no one else.
Yeah.
And he would put up some monster numbers.
Yeah. I think what was key about what you said too was that it wasn't necessarily that he didn't have the talent too, because I think bringing Tom Brady in with the talent that we have on the Tampa Bay Bucs, and I say we because again, I went to college in the area, so I grew onto the Bucs a little bit, but he's got a lot of talent going in there right now.
Yeah,
so what are you thinking as far as
you can say he's got talent. He's got 2 big receivers. 2.
Mike Evans.
And
Chris Godwin.
I think those
are 2
really
huge
good,
ones.
especially Mike Evans.
He's got what's his name at tight end,
and Cameron Brate.
Yeah, and not just Cameron Brate. What's his name? OJ Howard.
OJ Howard. That's right. Yeah, he's definitely got some weapons, some talent, especially with Evans and Brate and OJ Howard.
Yeah.
Really big guys, so really big targets. So
for
when
sure.
you have an accurate quarterback think about Rob Gronkowski. When you have large bodies out there that are good at catching.
Yeah.
This, he could be good. But on the other hand, I don't know the status of the offensive line. I don't know the status of the run game that can help him out. He's typically had a decent run game to help him out.
Oh yeah. I mean I mean, I think that's something maybe they're looking to work in, because I don't think they have a definitive, like, first man, go to guy, like three
We
down
had
back.
very little rush offense
Yeah.
in recent years. It was all Jameis, go ahead and zip the ball down the field,
Yeah.
get 5,000 yards.
So I don't know where we're gonna be on that, but I mean, our defense has been getting pretty stout. I mean, we got Ndamukong
Yeah.
Suh at this point now. We've got. Do we still have Sue, or did we just get him?
Sue.
Okay.
I think we still have Sue and JPP.
Yeah.
We got some edge guys, and the linebacking crew is pretty good. David and Kendall Beckwith, I think. But yeah, I mean, there's talent. We've always been a little bit lacking in the secondary at the safety position, so I don't know what our plans are there. I don't know exactly where we stand right now as far as roster, but yeah, I think it's an above average team. If minus quarterback, I think all other positions, it's an above average team, and so. Is it like it's really hard to tell. I mean, sometimes it's really hard to tell in the NFL. Is your team, if you just take the quarterback out because the quarterback's so important, is your team really excellent or are they subpar? I mean, it's kind of hard to tell with the Bucs. They've got some really big talent pieces, but I wouldn't say that they're dominant around on the defense. I would say they're capable on defense.
Yeah, okay, I can definitely get behind that. Like they're it's definitely not their Super Bowl season defense for sure. But
some people are saying Super Bowl. I think they came out. They're higher betting odds for Super Bowl champs than the Patriots at this point.
Yeah, Tom Brady left TB. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady. Couple of fun facts. I heard Chris Godwin, who is wearing the number 12 uniform, said he would be giving up his number 12 to the legend, the GOAT.
Well, I mean, how would that work? If
how would you live with? How could you live with yourself, dude? Tom Brady would leave. And then also, this maybe not fun fact. This was just something I was thinking about. I imagine like retaining a roster and trying to like maybe bring on guys. Officially signing Tom Brady was probably pretty helpful for the team. Like you might have been able to retain players that you would have otherwise had to pay a lot more for or something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Also, it makes people excited to come to the games, first of all, and to play in the games. Because you're playing on a team with Tom Brady. You're like, this guy's going down in the Hall of Fame, uncontested. He's going down in the Hall of Fame. And
it's a pretty good investment, I think, because you get a ton more viewership, you get a ton more fans coming out, you get tons of merch sales. I think, what is it? Is it 20 million a year?
Something like
40 for 2 year, 40 for a 2-year contract. So it's like you drop
yeah. So it's like 20 mil a year, 30, something like that. Was it 30 mil a year? Did he sign a 2-year $60 million contract?
I'm looking it up.
He might have. It might have been a 2-year $60 million contract. And I don't know, man. They released these new uniforms that look pretty tight. I mean, this like jet black color, this beautiful blue. Oh, it's not jet
apparently
black. It's more like a onyx black or something.
Apparently,
like
it's
that.
2-year $50 million.
Okay, yeah. So 25 mil.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you win the Super Bowl, that's gonna be a huge return on investment. But just getting a ton of merch sales and stuff.
Fun fact number 2. Sorry, this was the fun fact. This is the other fun fact I was thinking about. I guess this is number 3 technically. And this one is actually a more fun fact. I'm pretty sure. Now don't quote me on this 100%, but like 90-something%, and I'm gonna Google it while I'm talking about it, that they added another team to the NFL playoffs this year. So
we were talking about this.
That might round our chances out to actually make it to the playoffs a little bit more.
So there's basically an extra wild card team slot, right? And then they would take the second seed team and take away their bye. And so you've got one team that has a bye, and then six. What is it? Six
teams battle it out for the other
3 spots.
3 spots, yeah.
That's going to keep fans interested longer in the season, I think. I mean, that's always a ploy to keep viewership up and to keep interest up throughout the season. Because the last thing you want is a team that has no chance of getting in. You want as few teams with no chance of getting in late in the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You want that competition for a spot. That way everyone's watching till the end.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
That's interesting. That's It's not like the NFL was low on the totem pole. Well, actually, I don't know.
Oh, and fun fact number 4. This is to round it out, finish it off. This year, Super Bowl is in Tampa Bay. Dude, the stars are aligning for this one.
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't be that confident.
Venus in retrograde. This is. I'm gonna pull out the crystals here.
Obviously, I'm never gonna count Tom Brady out, but you know I'm always a pessimist, and as a Bucs fan, I'm not counting on the Bucs to. I'm counting on the Bucs to maybe make the playoffs, and I would be happy with that because they haven't made the playoffs since like 2010 or something like that, 2006. I don't know, but. It's been so long I can't even remember. But, we do have the Super Bowl already in our pocket.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know about Super Bowl. I mean, Tom Brady's getting old, and he was not good last year. Now, you can say that's because he didn't have any talent on his squad, but
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to be said about that. But
he was really, really good even in the Super Bowl loss against the Eagles.
Yeah. 2 years ago? Yeah.
That would have been
2 years ago. Something like that, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so but then, no, but
he was good against the Eagles.
Who won the last Super Bowl?
Last year?
Yeah, it was the Chiefs.
The
one before that was the Patriots where they won and he didn't play well.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
they didn't have an offense in that game. Well, he played okay, but he wasn't putting up tons of good But the year before that, when the Patriots lost in the Super Bowl,
that was the Eagles
against the Eagles. Tom Brady was amazing in that game. I mean, he put up tons of yardage. I think I don't know what it was, but they scored like 30-some points, and it was like a back and forth scoring game.
Yeah.
And if they had kept the Eagles under 35, I think the Patriots would have won. But anyway. Neither here nor there. Obviously, he was incredible in the year before that. So, I mean, he had been good. I think he's starting to fade, though. I mean, there's no telling. He's 42, he'll be 43 when the year starts.
Yeah, shoot.
So, anyway, I think we actually... Okay, so I guess next we can talk about the draft real quick. Are they doing for the NFL draft, are they doing a...
I think they're doing a remote draft this year. And...
that'll be interesting. Because usually, they have the fans out there booing, the commissioner and
Patriots rumors from the Bleacher Report. New England, quote, very firmly, end quote, in QB mix entering 2020 NFL draft. Of course, I mean, they no longer have Tom Brady.
Well, who is their second guy?
I don't know as of right now. But the mock has we have Bengals, Redskins, Lions to lead it out. And they have the mock going.
Well, Joe Burrow's obviously going to Cincinnati.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
And then it seems like everyone's in unanimous.
Chase Young is going to go around too, or second pick. And then they have Derek Brown for the Lions.
Yeah, I see Derek Brown, and then I also see Jeff Okudah, he's a corner.
Tua to the Dolphins. Okay.
Yeah, that makes. I'm seeing Justin Herbert torn. So I've got 4 different analysts here showing up for me, and 2 of them say Herbert, 2 of them say Tua. So Tua's got the injury issues, the recent injury issues.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert from Oregon. Yeah, you look through. I mean, some people say Tua could drop all the way to Jags at 9.
Where are the Patriots at? Where are they picking? Oh, they're 23. AJ. Epinesa?
Yeah, is it the end from Iowa? Yeah, I see all sorts of different stuff. Uh-oh, get that away from me.
Stop.
Just kidding.
No, don't touch me.
And for Tampa Bay, obviously, I think across the board here, I'm seeing a tackle. So it looks like they think that Tampa Bay is going to go in for offensive linemen to protect Brady.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I don't see. One of the drama points for the draft is going to be CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma versus Jerry Jeudy, who's going to get picked first. I see them falling in the 11 to 12 range with the Jets and the Raiders.
Yeah.
And it looks like that's going to be kind of like a drama, like who gets picked first, who's the better guy. Yeah. Jeudy from Alabama.
Yeah. I've got here Jeudy going to the Jags at 9.
Ah. Interesting.
I mean, things change. Yours might be a little more updated.
But those were 2 huge. CeeDee Lamb was ridiculous for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But, he's playing in the Big 12 where there's no defense, so it's kind of easy to be ridiculous. And then you have Judy, who was a pretty big piece for Alabama, but Alabama couldn't. Yeah, they weren't the Alabama. He wasn't as big of a spotlight, but he's really talented.
Yeah, that's true.
You just watch the kid. I mean, they're throwing to him half the time. They're just throwing to Judy. Judy. So anyway, I don't really have a lot to say about the draft. I think it's
not too much. I mean, it'll be fun to watch. It's 2 weekends from now, so April 23rd through the 25th.
Are they gonna have virtual booing for Roger Goodell when he goes
when he comes out there? They're gonna have to have everyone call in on a Zoom call or something like that. Boo.
Do you think that there's gonna be any trades in the first 3 picks? Trading down, or someone trading up to take the Redskins pick, or do you think that
I don't think Bengals are giving up the first pick for anything. You come across Joe Burrow once in a million years.
But what if the Dolphins bail on quarterback and trade up to get Chase Young? Or maybe they get spooked and trade up to the Lions just to make sure they get their quarterback that they want, Tua or whoever, because they're scared that
the Redskins. They need so much help right now, and I don't know that a good pick this year is going to do anything for that. But they might want to get that good pick, that really good solid pick, just to keep their fan base focused in. I mean, they need a lot of things.
But why would they not? I mean, I know they talk and people know, but why wouldn't they want a quarterback if Tua is sitting at sitting on the board, number 2?
You mean the Dolphins?
The Redskins.
Why? Oh.
Why
I don't know. Maybe they're
unanimous that they're getting a Chase Young instead of Tua.
I think it's too much to Tua is too much of a risk. I guess he's got that risk component, obviously. I think that might be going through. Whereas Chase Young is a little. He's comes from a pretty solid. I mean, Tua comes from a solid. What do you call it?
Well, it's not about the school, structure, but yeah. It's a defensive end is they pan out a lot more.
Yeah.
When they get picked early, they're just more predictable as a talent.
Yeah. I mean, he's a fast kid and he's big.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for him to. Yeah, it's going to be hard for him to not perform well. Whereas a quarterback could potentially have a really bad line and then not do well that year.
Injury season.
Get injured, or they just don't pan out in the NFL. And how many times does that happen? I mean, literally, the Bengals are picking up another first round, their second first round quarterback in 6 years or something like that. When did they get Dalton, Andy Dalton, 2012?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
something like that. I mean, it hasn't been that long, has it? And Andy Dalton definitely didn't pan out. He was okay at first, but
was he a first round pick?
I thought he was a first round pick.
Well, if I'm the Dolphins, if the Redskins don't get a quarterback, then the Lions and the Giants definitely won't get a quarterback. So it's not like they're going to trade up after that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I mean, the Dolphins are pretty secure. If they want a quarterback, they're safe as long as the first 2 don't take their guy.
That's true. Alrighty.
What if Cincinnati doesn't pick Joe Burrow?
That would be ridiculous.
Okay, let's move on.
I'm going to be done.
So, how much time are we on here?
We're actually going on the 24th minute here.
Okay.
We can zoom through a couple of stories too here.
Yeah, I'll bring up Kyle Larson. This race, I don't know what it was. Some sort of slur. Yeah, racial slur that he said. It's one of the stories to talk about.
So who's Kyle Larson? What's the context?
So he's a car racer. I guess NASCAR. I don't really know how NASCAR works, but he's apparently a really fast racer, but because they can't be doing events, they can't be doing races like they typically would be doing. They have they're doing e-sporting, so they're taking the professional drivers and giving them a
Xbox controller,
a controller wheel, and having them race on Twitch, and all the viewers who would have showed up or watched on TV a NASCAR event, they're gonna watch the Twitch stream.
Yeah, hopefully you get a couple of gamers too that would have otherwise not watched.
Yeah. And they said it was doing really well viewership-wise. And then, this guy, Kyle Larson, he blurted a slur during one of their live broadcasts. Oof. And people it was apparently an awkward moment. Lots of people were bro, dude, you're on, you're on, everyone can hear you, bro. And, yeah, I don't even know what he said. I'm just guessing what it was, the word. But apparently his sponsors are dropping him. It's just like a bad thing for NASCAR, I think, because you can imagine, the demographic that's surrounding NASCAR. It's kind of like more prone to, I don't know, racial insensitivity.
Yeah,
At least issues in the past.
Yeah, I think like historically
stereotypes.
there's like historically there's a stereotype there. Whether or not that stereotype is still exists, I don't know necessarily. I'm not going to defend anything like that because I know nothing about the context of the story or anything like that. But I think probably I always hear this. What you can attribute to, it's something along the lines of what you can attribute to human stupidity. If you can attribute it to human stupidity versus actual malice, then you can probably be sure that it's actually human stupidity.
I can't really understand what you just said.
Just to say that like people make mistakes all the time, like
yeah, and
like don't think that everything is malice necessarily,
Right, and that, some context. I mean, this guy is not your typical white guy, I guess I can say in quotes. I mean, I'm white, so I don't know. The thing is, I'm probably your typical white guy, but this guy is, I guess, half Japanese, or his one side of the family Japanese, one white. I'm not sure. So he's I don't know why I'm saying that, but it's just some context. I mean, you can probably look it up, but the guy was fired. He tried to do some apology on Twitter, and sponsors are dropping him.
Hopefully he figures out what he's doing there.
Yeah, it was some pretty big news for a couple of days. People were like, NASCAR doesn't need this kind of bad publicity or something.
Two quick things that I saw
let's move
on
on
Big
to
News real quick before we go through. Two things. Number one, University of Cincinnati discontinues men's soccer program, but will honor current scholarships. So that's nice. But I guess they're just not, they don't see a future in men's soccer for their athletic.
Yeah, that's kind of shocking to me.
Quote, this is Cunningham, the athletic director.
Because they have a good athletics program. They've got decent football.
The athletic director, Cunningham. His name is, give me like 10 seconds here. Oh, goodness. John Cunningham.
And they have women's soccer too, right? That's pretty active.
I think so. But here's the quote. This was a difficult decision, but one made with a long-term interest of UC athletics at the forefront. During this time of profound challenges and widespread uncertainty, I have engaged in a comprehensive and thorough review of UC's sport and offerings and long-term budget implications of supporting the number of student athletes currently at UC. So basically to say that didn't make sense financially, didn't make sense strategically as far as maybe their facilities are concerned and upkeep and things like that. And so.
All right. Well, what's your other story?
Last story. NASA funds proposal to build a telescope on the far side of the moon. Now, that would be pretty incredible. But Live Science...
So you're saying the dark side of the moon, because the moon is in synchronous orbit with the Earth or something?
Yeah, the backside. So it's not always dark on the other side of the moon. But it is so the Earth gives off a lot of like radio waves and stuff like that. So there's a lot of like visual interruptions and what is that called? Waves? What are those called?
I don't know.
Electromagnetic waves, electromagnetic radiation. You know how everything communicates nowadays? So on the other side of the moon that faces away from the Earth,
right?
You can get a lot of that stuff kind of taken away. A lot of that what they call noise taken away from it's never picking that up, and it's sitting around exactly.
Or something.
Yeah, because like right now they have the Hubble Space Telescope, but it orbits only a few, maybe 100 miles up. So
that'll be cool. I mean, it seems kind of expensive.
Yeah,
but,
it's just
always
research.
Coming out with new stuff.
I mean, this is just something that's out there. So
something besides
in the next
colonizing Mars.
Yeah. If the next 30 years we start hearing alien things, you can probably thank the Lunar Crater Radio Telescope. They're gonna put it in a crater.
Yeah,
that's actually not a bad idea. Probably
imagine
because
the
it's
images
probably
you're gonna get from that. I mean, what we get with the Hubble now, put something out there where it's not gonna have.
Yeah. Also, like I imagine that a crater is naturally parabolic in shape because on the moon in particular because there's no or
Yeah.
whatever
I don't
the
know
word
about
is.
the parabolic shape of the crater is going to help there.
It was just building because they're gonna build a telescope
Oh.
in the
Oh,
thing
I thought it was just more for it's naturally darker.
in the crater.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean maybe that too, but it looks like a full on crater, like the whole crater is the telescope.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is a legit project, like big time huge. But like
Okay.
because there's no atmosphere
Wow.
there, like an impact from an object probably makes a perfect,
Yeah.
a perfect.
All right. Well, I
Anywho.
guess last thing we're going to talk about after all that interesting stuff
Yeah, fun.
is the stock market. What are your thoughts on what's been going on, Richard?
So
We've had
obviously we left off on when it was basically going into the dumps. Like where we last left off, we were just getting word from the
things were starting to slip up a little bit.
the president that we're shutting down travel to China, and then I think maybe even shutting down travel to Europe at that point. And so the stock market started tanking. It wasn't looking particularly good, but we're pulling out as of today.
It is.
Like
it's surprisingly.
the markets are looking really good for whatever's propelling that direction. Today in particular, compared
Look
to
at Netflix.
yesterday.
Netflix is on an all-time high, I think. All-time high, despite all this nonsense.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. But this is like that whole streaming app.
Yeah, I guess,
In
but still, I
quarantine?
mean,
I don't
think
know.
about all the liquidity. I mean, are you telling me that Netflix doesn't have any debt?
Yeah,
Or-
it's a good point. I think my logic for that would be that they're at risk of being because they're going to be one of the first things cut from a budget because it's a non-necessity, obviously.
Right.
So they're at a high risk point at potentially being, losing a lot of people that are consuming it. But they're also at a point where they're probably halting a lot of production and stuff like that. They're probably saving a lot of revenue now to be used in the future. So there's that that's kind of like stockpile money where like it's earning interest or whatever, wherever it's sitting. Maybe it's whatever it's doing otherwise. The
about that?
time value of money. Well, I don't
There's
know
no
necessarily.
the time value of money right now is negative.
Well, I mean I don't
has
know
been.
necessarily what they're doing with that, but
I mean, you can't get a bond, a U.S. like Treasury bond,
well, I don't know
for
what they
anything
do.
more than 0.5%. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean when you're talking millions and millions of dollars, I don't know what that. I mean, it pays for something. I don't know. Anyway, my thought process is if they can they have like a captive market because everyone's quarantining off and
Yeah,
they're
obviously
staying
their
home.
viewership is through
They
the
can
roof.
literally just pump out for for like
But that
maybe
only
a couple
increases
of
their
months.
cost.
For maybe a couple of months, they can just put out like really low budget just like stuff from like like TV shows and movies that are already in existence. What do they call that? Copyrighted stuff that they can purchase the copyright or the whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then that's super cheap, and then they can play that for like the couple month barrier. And so presumably what they're thinking is that we're coming out of this and they can start making new content again. Is
Yeah,
what
but
I'm
that's
thinking.
just a delay on what they already would have planned to do. How does that help? I don't understand how that's a positive, but
I don't know. Something to do with the time value of money sitting there and being not having to use it immediately, but instead being able to reserve those revenues.
that
Like
doesn't
imagine
make any
this.
sense, bro.
No, imagine this.
Because they could always have done that.
Yeah, but they couldn't. They wouldn't have been able to do. They wouldn't have been able to not do anything. So their thought process was in 12
Because
months.
people are willing to put up with more. Is what you're
Exactly, because they have a captive market, a market that's not gonna that's gonna be like, well, yeah, I watched The Office episode 3 12 times this week, but that's the best episode.
Well, I
And
guess
then
then
they'll
it doesn't have
rewatch-
to do
you
with
know.
the time value of money. It has to do with the fact that people are more willing to watch garbage and
Yeah.
that they're able to cut costs.
Yeah,
But I think that their costs are actually going up.
but then you talk about the
because,
server space requirements.
yeah, you need to buy a lot more. You need to buy a lot, and internet traffic's already probably really hard to get more of, and so I don't know how the service providers. I guess what's happening is people were working at work, and now they're just working at home. So it's not like the net amount is that much higher.
Oh, you're saying the bandwidth hasn't changed. I'm sure like
Yeah,
people are like
it's just
kind of
shifting.
remote going into their
It
computer.
might be more demand and stuff, and also things like instead of going out and exercising outside or going out to the bar, now people are staying inside
Yeah.
watching Netflix. So yeah, it might be going up a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, that's why I'm saying like I don't know how much people are or how the internet providers are getting away with it. And
Yeah, I heard that some of those companies are going to start reducing bandwidth or whatever it's called. That like how quickly you can download and upload things. What's that called? Whatever, latency or something like that. I don't know what it is, but it basically that you're going to get a lower quality, slower stream from YouTube and stuff like that because they're having so many people use their products.
well, what do you think about the real quick on the so-called, I don't know what to call it, stimulus relief? I guess I can call it relief spending bill.
I mean, that's a short-term fix for a long-term problem. That's like,
What do you mean for a long-term problem?
well, but a lot of people lost their jobs, and to have to like jump back into to having those jobs. I mean, I don't know necessarily how that's gonna pan
That's what
out.
a lot of people think. It's going to be
That they're just gonna jump right back in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's possible, but I imagine there's like a startup. There's a little bit of delay to that, and I don't know. I mean, we've been in this for like what 6 weeks now, and we got 12, and there's a $1,200 check coming in for all those people that are now unemployed. I imagine that's not going to be particularly adequate.
I have to give a little plug because in my Straight Data podcast, I already went over this whole topic in my episode 1, but also in episode
5.
4.
Oh,
I think in 4, I talked about transit data. So I was already seeing effects of what supposed effects. I have no way of knowing for sure, but of the virus impacting people's jobs maybe and stuff as early as February. So if you count February and part of February, then all of March, and then now part of April. I mean, we're gonna be coming up on 2 months as far as people's job activity slowing down, people losing their jobs.
yeah. I mean, if this lasts too much longer, then we're going to see real ramifications, I think. But the market's probably is hoping for a sooner rather than later kind of thing, is what it seems to be.
Yeah, and that's easy when the government pumps the cash in.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the stock market could go up, but you've just transferred the problem from the stock market to the Federal Reserves.
Yeah, which ultimately comes back to the taxpayer, who was the one that got presumably got the money in the
So it was an interesting, but I am impressed with how quickly the stock market's reacting to it. Gold is up a lot though. Because, and that's one of the things I was going to bring up. So stocks are back up, but gold is up more than the stock market by a good amount, which I also brought up in.
It's certainly suggestive of the fact that while people are confident that we can start returning to normalcy pretty soon, they're not that confident.
You can return to normalcy at the cost of the value of the dollar going down.
Yeah.
So things can seem smooth, but when there's tons of more dollars because of it with the same amount of production as before.
Yeah.
Now, when you have commodities like gold and stuff, oil is having its own problem.
Yeah.
But when you have steady commodities,
like the relative value,
the number of
that.
dollars that it takes to buy that,
Yeah.
same thing with groceries and gas, is going to go up.
Yeah, the relative value of the commodity the relative value of the dollar today versus a dollar even just at the beginning of this year, January 1st, is a lot smaller.
It does take some time. I mean, the economists all say, it's not a direct relationship between money supply and cost of goods, because you need the
there's
dollars
delay,
to
but
turn over. The dollars need to get spent through the economy and all the way through, and that's when prices start to come
but
back
you
up.
I mean but obviously, just like you're saying, gold being up is a direct result. It's a forecast of the dollar,
and that's
not
why
being as strong.
I personally think gold is actually going to go up more. This is not the end of the gold rally.
Oh no.
Just the fact that the stock market's going back up. See, it's not like gold and the stock market are inverse. And I think you brought this up before. Did you bring this up on another one?
I don't think so.
Maybe you've said this before though, that gold tends to do well when the rest of the economy is shaking, but it doesn't necessarily do poorly when the economy is doing well.
Yeah.
It can slowly go up while the economy is quickly going up.
Sometimes it's level. I mean, at a certain point, it's a solid investment. It rarely ever is like plummeting.
I think if you look over the past 40, 50 years, gold is probably worse of an investment, so to speak, than the S&P 500.
Yeah.
But if you look over the last, I did this on episode 5 on
The more recent one, yeah.
Yeah, Straight Data podcast. Over the last 17 years since 2003, which is not taking it from not taking the S&P from a peak to a trough. It was taking it from the trough of the dot-com bubble bursting and to today. 17 years, gold has grown twice as much.
Yeah. Shoot, that's so much.
As the stock market. So, and that a lot of that has to do with the recent gains that it's had, like almost up 75% year to date.
Yeah. So, I mean,
but that's what I was just going to point out.
I mean, like you said, that they're just inflating the dollar now and putting it all on the national debt, pretending like it doesn't exist until eventually that you're going to see something where we have to spend, where we have to pay off our debts in the national government, and then you're going to get that inflation value, and then that's when that gold. This is what you were saying. Gold. This isn't like the end. You didn't miss your opportunity to get on board. Gold is still a long term positive gain.
Like when you send everyone $1,200 checks that you don't have the money, that you don't have the actual tax revenue to pay for that. There's only 2 ways you can do it, and that's through future taxes, reducing spending and taxing more in the future to make that back up, or to print dollars to pay it off. So mathematically you don't have any other option, do you? I mean,
no,
you can't just make it go away.
Yeah.
I mean, if there was no downside to this, wouldn't we just create the $1,200 for everyone every month?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If there wasn't a downside, then we would just be creating trillions of dollars of wealth and handing it out to everyone, and it would be great. But no, there is a downside. So
one could only wish, right?
But I think it's been a pretty smooth job of getting the stock market back up.
Yeah. I'm pretty surprised, to be perfectly honest. I was thinking about a year's worth of gonna have to crawl our way back.
Yeah, I was saying probably over a year until we get back to our high.
Yeah. My portfolio is already beyond what it was before the.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was to be fair though. I was investing while the market was dropping, so I was putting money into a down market.
You got that resort stock that.
Well, that one is actually I'm in the negative on that.
Oh.
So
what do you have a stock pick that you would say pick for the next week? I mean, since we're picking them.
I mean, I think I'm gonna stick with yours, man. I'm just gonna stick to gold at this point. Like, is it like? That's always a solid pick. I mean, if maybe I was gonna say anything, like maybe some sort of like maybe look into the Asian markets a little bit. I think that their recovery is gonna come a little bit sooner, and so you're gonna see a little bit better. Like we were talking Nintendo earlier. They just released that New Horizons that new game that you play as like what's it called? It's called
the Animal.
Yeah, Animal Crossing, New Horizons. Yeah, and
I was kicking myself over not keeping Nintendo. I got rid of it. Oh, it's doing so well.
Their stock looks good right now.
Yeah, I think foreign markets are going to do pretty well compared to U.S. because the U.S. is the currency thing. I think it's all related. So
yeah. So maybe look into the foreign markets a little bit. That's my potential recommendation. I don't have any specific anything.
Newmont is a gold stock. It's up 74% in the last month.
Nice.
74%.
Dang.
So I mean, I don't know what Netflix. Netflix is a really good performer. So let's see what it's done.
It was up. It's
up 34% in the last month. So, and that's one of the best ones out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you could get much better than Netflix as far as like a typical stock. So
yeah,
that shows you the power of what gold's doing right now with how the money issue is going on. So
this also might be a time to just see and wait what happens too. Maybe just hang on to that liquidity, because if someone comes out and says, "Hey, we can't. May is not going to happen. We got to go till June." First, or even at the beginning of summer,
or even if they open up, but a lot of businesses still don't get business, so they have to keep bailing out and keep adding cash.
Yeah, we may see the market do a little up and down. I mean, it's super volatile right now. Maybe anything could happen. Just watch the markets.
Yep. All right. Well, that's a slightly quicker version. Maybe not so much quicker. I don't know how much time.
Not too much quicker. It's about as long as the first episode.
Yeah. So with that, I don't really have anything else to talk about.
No, I think that's about it.
Not really sure when we're going to do another one of these because there's not a ton of news flying off
I
the
think we
reels.
can try again next week
We'll
if there's
see.
something going on.
Especially, maybe we could talk the market and talk some random. I mean,
Yeah. Get your mind off of the.
we're not really sticking to the schedule that we used to because it's things are a little different.
No
We're
more
just kinda,
picks right
just kind of
now.
ranting, but yeah, nothing to pick in sports at least. There's just nothing going on in sports. It's kind of depressing for a sports fan like
Hey,
me.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, anything else, Richard?
I don't think so, man. You wrap it up for us.
All right, you guys, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know your thoughts. Make your picks. Comment them down below. We'll check them out, see what happens. With that, this has been Short End of the Pick with Richard and Kurt, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then.